has started. Yeah, recording has started.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
back. I'd have a new guest. David, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hiya, I'm David Bosdet. I've been a Dons fan from around about 2007, 2008. Currently the chair of MKDSA, but yeah, looking forward to this today, going over the past and present managers of MK Dons. So looking forward to it.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to have people on. I always like to get people involved. The community's been very supportive, and yeah, as David said, we are going to evaluate the past and present MK Dons managers, as you can probably see on the screen. We've had our fair share of permanent interim managers as well since being renamed. How many of them were the right appointments? Let's dive into it. So, beginning with Stuart Murdoch, he came with us to MK. It was always going to be a tough one. Having previously led Wimbledon to 10th in the championship, things ended up falling apart, as we all know, before Pete Wimcommon came to save the day. Well, I'm sure FC Wimbledon fans would disagree with that. But yeah, as MK Dons manager, it was 5 wins, 5 draws, and 11 losses. It must have helped, I think, having him in charge. However, I think, given how Danny Wilson kept us up, I have to probably agree with the sacking. Dave, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier, and one of the pleasures have been that most of the Don's managers have been quite decent guys, pleasant guys, and Stewart definitely fits into the mix for that. But unfortunately, I just don't feel he was the man for it. He was. I don't mean to be offensive to the guy because he's a lovely guy, but there were times I watched him at the stadium and I just couldn't see where there was any game plan or anything. And I know many people may allude to that, how recent managers have been. But yeah, for me, yeah, we will never gain anywhere, unfortunately. And the poor guy was always going to be stuck with the stigma of the guy that brought Wimbledon up to MK. So he was always going to be a little bit more than just a normal manager job. So yeah, a nice guy. But like you say, probably best that Danny Wilson come when he did. Although to be fair, that didn't work out so well in the long term. But it's how football is.
Mm, I think so. I think, like I said, I think it helped having him there. He's got the stigma with him, but at the same time, he did say the mortgage had to be paid, so I had to stay.
Yeah,
I do think. I mean, look, it's a really unique position to be in, but I think even though we lost 11 games and only didn't lose 10 of those games in 21 games in charge of MK Dons, it was going to be a tough gig with everything going on. But I think he helped provide stability, and I think despite all of that, he will be the man who provided stability for the Dons and helped keep things going. So for that, I'm forever grateful. We
yeah,
could have lost all
absolutely. Yeah,
21 games and he would have still been the man to provide us stability. A bit like Sheffield Wednesday last season
yeah.
with Hendrik Pedersen, I think. So he's got it's that sort of a feel to it.
Yeah, he was never gonna, unfortunately, be successful with what he was given because he had the rug pulled from under him, and as any club will tell you, when they go into admin, it's always the players that get sold off ridiculously cheaply, and if you'd have kept those players, you would have been in a vastly different position. So yeah, he was, yeah, unfortunately, not ideal for him. Although, like you say, he has to pay the mortgage, but he was never going to be overly successful because of where we were at the time. Success at that time, as you said, is about keeping that stability and
Yeah.
maintaining what we actually had. So yeah,
Right. Still forever grateful for what he's done. Right. Next up, Jimmy Gilligan, a caretaker manager. South said appointment not really applicable. He had a month in charge. He won and lost 2 games. But I think those 2 wins were crucial ones. Makes me wonder, a half win rate, half loss rate. If he was in charge the whole season, would we have survived before the final day? Or are we just looking back with wishful thinking?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't remember too much about the Jimmy Gilligan day, which is what it feels like. It's only a month, effectively.
Yeah, it's
Um,
before my time as well.
yeah, it's not. I don't remember too much about it. So much was going on at that time. It was a revolving door of in and outs, throughout the club at that point. So
Mm.
yeah, like you say, 50-50 percentage is pretty good. So yeah,
Mm.
you take that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Take it because helped
Yeah.
keep us up. All right. Next up, I've gone for Danny Wilson. Now, it's an interesting one because he had 81 games in charge. He'll forever be remembered as the man who kept us up on the final day of our first season as MK Dons back in 2005. He was unable to repeat the act the following season. I think it was Rotherham United who survived at our expense on the day when one of us was going to go down. But you know what, right? I don't know about you. I disagree with his sacking because I think we were only 2 points off safety in the end. And I think given that he was out of contention right up to the end, I think he would have got us straight back up. I really did. I think a lot of times teams get relegated, they sack the manager, but really, what does it achieve? I think he would have got us straight back up.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell, isn't it? Because yeah, I mean, the guy had the experience. He clearly knew what he was doing. The fact that he drew more games than he lost or won is an interesting concept. But a lot of managers have built teams on being strong defensively to enable
Mm.
you to achieve draws when you're not playing at your best. So yeah, as you say, may well be that he would have could have kept going with this. I mean, I remember that Rotherham game, that 0-0 up there, and that was a horrendous game. We just didn't seem to be able to find the back of the net. So it's what it is. But
Yeah,
yeah, like you say, maybe if we kept him a bit longer, but then bearing in mind what happened after him, would he have had the same success in that
mm.
short period? I don't know, because I
Yeah,
think his game was more defensive compared to the next manager that you're going to talk about, and I think that defensive style would have got you an awful lot of draws. Games that in the following season or the following two seasons were victories, and some quite handsome, to be fair. So yeah, it probably I think I would disagree with you, and I would say yes, sacking was probably the best move in hindsight. I think the sacking was the best move.
that's fair. I mean, I guess in the long term it may have been better. In the short term, I guess focusing on getting back up to League One reminds me of a similar situation that we're in now, to be honest, with Mark Jackson and Paul Warren. But yeah, let's keep going with this. Next one, Martin Allen. So for me, disappointment. Yes, the sacking. Well, we didn't sack him. He left for Leicester City.
Yeah,
One season in charge of the Dons. 125, drew 9, lost 12, and we only finished a point outside the top three. And we had our first taste of playoff heartbreak in Milton Keynes.
yeah.
Of course, we didn't know how much more we'd have to experience. We don't know if we're going to experience much more. I hope not. Now, clearly, the right appointment, given how well he did. In another season, even in this past season, we'd go up automatically. I think it was 84 points. Yeah, 84 points we'd get. So, yeah, that's enough to finish in the top three this past season.
Yeah.
But he departed for Leicester City afterwards. Again, I think he would have got us up the following season. I'm hopeful. Did it work out in the long term? Because I put here, in came one of our most successful managers, and then we began riding a three-season crest of a wave.
Yeah.
Did it
Um,
work out?
yeah, he brought in some of the players that were a key factor in the next manager's team. He I think he gave the Dons a drive, and that was previously missing for no fault of anyone's. But yeah, we had more purpose on the football pitch, and yeah, he had his um, Mad Dog reputation, and that added to the whole match day experience. But it gave us more energy. It returned the energy to the team that was lacking, understandably, because of what's gone on in the past of the last few years. So I wouldn't say he's our most successful. I've always felt Paul Ince in that first spell achieved that, and not
Yeah.
purely on the trophies, but on the style of play. So yeah, I would. Yeah, I think he certainly gave us a spark back. Definitely gave us the spark, and for that we need to be internally grateful. And it didn't really work out for him long term at Leicester, but another byproduct of that you'll come to later on in this. One of the managers that was a
Yeah.
byproduct of what happened with Leicester and so on. So it all comes around, doesn't it?
Yeah. So well, we know more. We're going for the Mad Dog to the Governor, Paul Ince,
Yeah,
our most successful Paul. And little did we know he'd be the first of three Pauls to manage us and get us promoted up to League One.
yeah,
And in his first season, won the League Two title, the EFL trophy, the first silverware as MK Dons. So far, I can say he's the most successful Paul. One of our best appointments, I think, as we were alluding to just now. And then he left for Blackburn Rovers, but little did we know he'd come back. Now,
yeah.
quite frankly, it goes without saying, appointment yes, sacking NA, because it's not really applicable when he leaves for Blackburn Rovers to say that we'll be right to sack him. But quite frankly, I would say, I mean, he's got to be up there with the top two most successful managers, surely. I think. I know that's
Yeah,
harsh on probably Liam Manning, but
but yeah, I don't know because I mean, again, we've got a manager here, Paul Ince, who how much of that was built the previous season, as you said about with Martin
Martin
Allen,
Allen,
and again,
yeah,
we've got a manager now where the impact of him going to Blackburn, although felt hard for us at the time, actually built some momentum for other people that enabled them to come back here and be successful later on in their careers. So
yeah,
for two managers in succession to go on to bigger clubs, you can't really complain. And yeah, I think his success, his style of play was incredible. I mean, he had that success with Macclesfield, who were virtually down the year before, and
he
kept
kept
them
them
up.
up, didn't he?
Yeah, which is why we took him on, and yeah, I think he done really well for us. I really do.
Yeah,
Um, I think out of League Two is tough, but I think anyone that gets you out of League One and can sustain you in the Championship, I think will be the person that will always be deemed as the top manager for me. I think
yeah,
and we'll know a bit more about that in the next couple of years for this for Mr. Warren. So hopefully that works out well. But you
yeah.
know,
Well,
old Cole went off to join Paul, didn't he? Up at Blackburn, I believe he did.
oh yes, he
Yeah,
did,
yeah, he
didn't
did,
he?
yeah. And I think that worked out well for us because he got a good grounding, and I think I always felt he was very successful here. I thought he done very well.
Yeah,
But we'll come on to him later anyway. But yeah, Paul, yeah, maybe in the top three, maybe. Paul Ince in the top three of our managers. Yeah.
maybe. Well, yeah. I guess. I think that season alone justifies it. I think Paul was a very good starting point. Really, like I said,
Yeah.
three season crest of a wave. Um, with uh, with what happened. So yeah. Actually, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Three season crest of a wave. Martin Allen, Paul Ince, and that brings us on to the next manager, which is Roberto Di Matteo. Now,
Yeah.
it's interesting actually because I mean I'm going to come on to it, right? Paul Ince obviously came back, right, because Roberto Di Matteo left, but Roberto Di Matteo had us in the top three in League One. and he nearly got us promoted again. A bit like Liam Manning, when, again, just third place, narrowly missing out. Heartbreak. And, it didn't really work out in the season afterwards. But, it's interesting because I know we're going to come on to it, but Paul came back and obviously couldn't get us back into the playoffs. Roberto Di Matteo, in one season, won 26, drew 9, lost 11. And he only scored one goal less than the top scorers and champions Leicester City, his team did. And actually, I haven't written this down, but it's worth noting, if I remember correctly, we scored 82 goals under Paul Ince when we won League Two. In this season, 2008-2009, we scored 83 goals, if I remember correctly. So that's quite an impressive statistic that we score one more in a higher division. That goes to show at the time just how good. I think we got to give credit for Pete Winkleman here for getting the right managers in, because Paul Ince, he'd only managed one team. Okay, he did quite well with Macclesfield Town, got them to stay up, and he did say in his interview, I came to Macclesfield to keep them up, came to MK Dons to get them up. He did that. But Roberto Di Matteo, this is his first job in football, and look at how well he did. So that's, you've got to give credit for the recruitment team at the time. They weren't messing around. Obviously, we were to finish 2 points adrift of Peterborough United. We were to experience playoff heartbreak in the most cruel way. But yeah, I've right here. It was another solid appointment, wasn't it? And then he went on to get promoted to the Premier League the next season with West Bromwich Albion. Who was in charge then? Can we get them back now if we need to appoint another manager?
Yeah, I think with Peter, I think Peter was absolutely doing really well with the appointments at that point. I think the problem at the end of his tenure was that he tried to follow the same process, and because the process had obviously worked previously, some of the appointments were a little bit more risky than they needed to be. He was trying to do it in what he saw as the MK1 of using untried talent, but there's always a risk with that. Untried managers is very 50-50.
As we've learned.
So I think maybe he would have been better off taking a different approach nearer the end of his tenure with who he was appointing. But yeah, it's what it was. But yeah, like you say, this Roberto did really well. Went on to lead Chelsea to the Champions League. I can't remember how many, a couple of seasons after, I think it was. So
yeah, 3 seasons later.
Yeah, so he's done well. Yeah, very happy with him.
Yeah, nearly gets promoted with Dons, gets promoted with West Bromwich Albion, win the Champions League. Fair play to him.
Yeah, done really well. So good. I don't know what he does these days. I don't know what field he's in, whether he's in management abroad or something. I don't know. But
yeah, I know he tried to get Aston Villa up, and then they kept conceding late goals.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, well, back to the governor we go. Again, a win rate of more than 50%. But then actually, after 3 optimistic seasons, this was a more underwhelming season because we fell away from playoff contention. We had to settle for a 12th place finish. And actually, I'll talk about the 50+% win rates. But look at the loss. He lost 18 to us, almost as much as he won. That's, in 44 games. 44 games. He's lost quite a fair few of them. It's like you had a winning or losing in this season. So he must have been so motivated to kick on after how well he did with us and after what happened with Blackburn Rovers where it didn't work out. But it just wasn't to be that we'd kick on further. And he resigned in the end, towards the end of the season. But then in came arguably our most successful manager, would you say? So it's an interesting one because he goes and we have successful managers, but he's also done well with us. He knows how to win games, but he couldn't lead us on further as he would have liked.
I think, for Paul, it does happen to a lot of managers. They are successful in one spell, and everyone thinks, well, let's try and reenact that again by bringing the manager back. And for whatever reason, the dynamics may have changed within the players, the squad, the way even the club is at that point, and you're not able to achieve. I know, or I believe that Paul Ince's main issue is around funding. But that's always going to be the issue. We've always been a club, unfortunately, that to survive, we've sold our silverware. And if Pete didn't have the money, he didn't have the money to fund it. But I think to be fair to Peter, he's always said that he's not ever going to be the guy that will be able to take them all the way because he doesn't have the financial backing to do that. So maybe Paul could have stuck around a bit longer. But yeah, I mean, you look at even Everton under Howard Kendall, won everything the first time he was there. Second time he was there, he couldn't repeat the process. So it's often about how lucky you are with the players you land. You know, if you've got a settled team for a season or two and you're not making massive changes, you're able to keep things. And maybe Paul, I don't know. It's just strange to know how we dropped off so late in the season as we did. But there you go. It happens.
All right, well, Carl Robinson's next. Could he be Duns' most successful manager? Won 147, drew 81, lost 118. Now, he's the only manager to take charge of more than 100 MK Dons games. And he finally got us promoted to the Championship after 4 seasons of playoff heartbreak and falling away from contention. So I said he's responsible for the most successful season in Milton Keynes. But sadly, things went south afterwards. Dons were straight down to League One. And after a poor start to the season, a mutual departure ended up being agreed. And we then entered a new era, didn't we?
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that Carl was our most successful manager. I think the situation with the Championship done a lot more damage to him than it done to us. I think how that Championship panned out, I think it looked to me like he was beginning to doubt himself because he wasn't able to bridge that gap. Which, as we know, a club like Preston went up the same year as us, are still in the Championship. They don't particularly inspire people every season, but they stay there or thereabouts. I think Robbo needed to get a little bit more support when he was in the Championship that wasn't forthcoming for whatever reason. And I think that whole feeling dragged into the following season. Personally, for me, and I know a lot of people will disagree, I think he should have had time to stay on and re-establish himself as the person that he was, because then that opening season in League One, he wasn't the same, the players weren't the same. They took quite a battering, I think. And it would have been nice to have consolidated rather than say, right, let's move on. So yeah, most people seem to say, well, look, we weren't winning games, but that unfortunately is football, and I just feel that he still had a lot to offer.
It was tough really because we couldn't win at home that season until December, till Robbie Nielsen came in. Yeah. But we could win some away games. I remember, I think at one point our away form was tied like the best in the league, like the first couple of months, but the home form just wasn't anywhere near there, and it just wasn't happening for him. I think you're right in that it wasn't really the same. But then Dawns wasn't the same after that, I feel. I remember thinking we'd finally recovered under Liam Manning, and then we ended up going back down to League Two. We have not been the same since we got promoted to the Championship, but I don't manager knows how to get there. Maybe we could be the same.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the way it is, I mean, you're in the Championship then, and even more so now, you're competing with clubs that have got parachute money. You've got competing with clubs that have got higher average attendances week on because they're in the championship. And I don't know. I felt we could have held our own in the championship, but I think we tried to muddle by. I think a couple of the signings we made in the January of that year were questionable to say the least. And yeah, I think the whole deal. Whether also remembering this was the time when sadly the great Andy King passed away.
Yeah,
So
that impacted Carl.
Yeah, and what impact did that have on everybody in terms of his knowledge and skill set, and him as a person as well. So it's I just felt that a little bit more. Let's just reset ourselves properly before we start sacking people, because that really for us was the start of a revolving door of managers.
Yeah, not to be a successful one. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that's a good point now to go into the next to my next slides. I've got Richie Barker here.
yeah,
He only took charge of 8 games. He served as caretaker manager, so I mean, look, somebody had to, and he's become our assistant manager under Paul Warren.
yeah.
But he won 2, he drew 3, lost 3 in all competition. I mean, there was tight wins against Coventry City. I remember being at that game.
Yeah.
Quite a scrappy game, but we won. That's always a nice thing. Always makes it a nice day out. And then Spenny Mortan as well. I remember we raced a 3-goal lead, but it ended up being 3-2. And then they were cancelled out by agonising losses against Sheffield United and Chesterfield. I remember Chesterfield were 2-1. We'd come back to lead 2-1 with not too long left, and then we still lost 3-2.
Yeah.
But it seemed to be a departure was agreed as best for all parties, and it was probably right in that sense, given what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
He probably didn't want to be in charge of a sinking ship, if you like. I mean, if I could say that, or it's similar to keep going wrong. I mean, but it's funny though, because ever since he became a assistant manager to Carl Robinson, he's never been a proper manager again.
No.
Like, he's always been the assistant to Carl and to Paul Warren. You know, he's not managed since being in charge of Crawley Town all those years ago. It's interesting that.
Yeah, I think it just shows that his skill set is more built towards being an assistant rather than an actual manager. Because players will often talk about him as a big motivator. I think even Warner's mentioned the fact that it is Barker that does the little nitty gritty bits, the bit that really changes things around. And I think it's just that is his skill set. His skill set is not being front-facing manager, having to do all of that stuff. Is better suited to creating those relationships with the players and making those little changes that make the difference. So yeah, I mean, the guy's brilliant. I mean, the guy's done really well, and I'm really happy that he's back with us.
Yeah, just make it a successful season. But now, somebody we want to talk about is Robbie Nielsen.
Yeah.
This is I guess you could say it's a controversial one. Now, I put here, appointment no sacking, yes. Now, that's harsh. I think he did well in the first season, to be fair to him. I mean, somebody had to steer us away, and he did that. But it's only because Pete Winkleman said, in one of the programmes, said it was the wrong manager and the wrong time. Now, he won 16, he won 26, he drew 16, he lost 24. And he did, like I say, he steered us away from the bottom 4, and it was an eventual mid-table finish in League One, which, given everything that happened, was okay in the end. But it then went downhill because we overhauled the squad. I remember there's only 2 players from the Championship that were still there. It was Dean Lewington, Joe Walsh, who actually remained from our Championship season. And I just think that was his downfall. I really do. I mean, we lost our way in the end. And again, falling out with Dean Lewington is the one player you don't really want to fall out with, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, I mean, Lewington's obviously he has his opinions and his within his rights to express them for the time he's been at the club. And I don't know the ins and outs of what happened, but what I do know in regards listening to Dean is if Dean makes a criticism or a comment, it's very rarely to do with Dean Lewington. He doesn't make comments based on I'm Dean Lewington, this is what's best for me. It's always I'm Dean Lewington, I've been at MK Dons, this is what's best for MK Dons. And he's always put the Dons first. And I think as an individual, he's got his standards, and I think he brings that into the club. It's I never had. So we're now going through a stage with your managers here now of all the people I disregard and I regard as being the managers that were someone trying to follow a process of appointing unknowns, if you like, or certainly unknowns in the UK. Sorry, in England. Sorry, Scotland. And he was just another one of them. And he was bringing players down that were just frankly not good enough, unfortunately. And he was trying to get players in that were, just no character in them. And I just, apologies to the players that we brought in, but I just don't feel you fitted what we needed.
I just think, go on.
Yeah, I was more than happy when he went, to be honest. Probably, as an individual, he's probably a very, very nice guy, but I just couldn't take to him. Just could not take to him at all. His thought process is just, I couldn't understand him. I really couldn't. So I'm sure he's done well since he's gone back up north, and good luck to the guy. But I think that was the wrong manager at the wrong time, and he's wrong manager period for us.
I just don't think squad overhauls really work. If you look at the squad beforehand, he did get a tune out of them to an extent.
Yeah.
But I think we just messed about with the core of the team. I mean, I remember because I've been a program addict, and he did say after the Northampton Town game, which is the day you got sacked, said the fans are disappointed, but the dressing room is even worse. Could it have reached a tipping point? At the same time, though, I put my neck on the line here. And for anyone who's watching this, as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I want to hear them. But here's a question. If you don't know what was going to happen next with Dan McKeechie, would you rather have kept Robbie Neilson? Would he have done better? Or was it all... Did he just lose the dressing room and a change was needed? Question for everyone watching this, as well as yourself, David.
Yeah, for me, I was just glad he was gone. Dan Mitchie was an appalling appointment, unfortunately.
I'll come on to him.
It was as if... It felt as if the Dons wanted a scapegoat as the next manager.
Oh, that's strong words.
Yeah, and that's what he was put in to be. I really disliked the fact that he was put in with that lack of experience, with no support, trying to work things out, and he became... it was embarrassing. It was... I really felt for the guy. I really did. It was the worst, for me personally, the worst appointment. And not because of what ended up for the Dons, but the impact on that individual. I think there was it felt like there was no support. And I know the guys that are still there now at the hierarchy of the club would say, well, that's not the case, but that's what it felt like from outside. Lamb to the slaughter. Never mind.
Yeah, it's it was a tough one. I mean, I have to, with respect, I have to say appointment no second, yes. I mean, Pete did say on a last home program of that season, he did say in the end the results weren't good enough, and I made the decision that he wasn't the man to take us into next season. So he said when I made that decision, I felt it was important to make the change there and then. But I mean, look at the record: 1-3, drew 3, lost 10. And it wasn't a happy reunion for our former academy boss. You know, he lost his first 5 games in charge. I mean, and then here we get to an interesting point because he got nominated for the March 2018 Manager of the Month because he did have a period where he won 3 and drew 1 of 4 games after we lost to Bristol Rovers. So it was win, win, draw, win. And it's like, what happened next? I mean, I know, okay, fair enough, we played Blackburn Rovers next, we're always going to get promoted. They is just out, and then we just, yeah, I think, actually, yeah, we just lost our way again.
Yeah,
we just not, we just kept losing. I mean, how many games was it? I said 2 successive 4-goal reversals. That wasn't the case actually. It was lost to Wigan 5-1. Again, a team that are going to get promoted. Lost to Doncaster. Lost to Southend.
Yeah, I think
four successive losses. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's for him. The squad was already struggling. I just can't see that he would have been able to do anything without again having to do that massive overhaul. And you're never going to be successful by constantly overhauling your squad. You can't do it. You players, I felt a lot of last season there was a lot of players that didn't shine as well as you had hoped, but they're players that have never experienced League Two before. And that is a completely different game to what's played in all the other leagues. And I don't know what support Dan had at the time, but I just don't feel, like I said earlier, I don't feel he had the appropriate experience available to him to enable him to succeed. I really don't. There you go.
Yeah. I think it's a tough one. I mean, I remember Dean Lewington said some of the training is the best I've had at my time at the club, but just didn't work out. Did not work out. It's such a shame, but it's what it is, really. I mean, I remember that season in the end. I just decided I was doing GCSEs, and I eventually concluded that at the time I'm better off just preparing for that than watching the Dons because it was just so hard to watch at times. I mean, I don't feel proud saying that, but at the time I thought it was the right thing to do.
No, so revision's more exciting than watching the Dons play. It's a bit of a shame, but that's how it is, and it's I've been to games like that many a time, not just with the Dons but with Arsenal as well, and you just think, oh my goodness, really, am I watching this? But it's what it is. But I've nothing but respect for Dan Michie. I think that he certainly tried his best. And I just, like I said, I just don't feel he got the support he should have had.
Yeah.
There you go. So we got next.
We got Keith Milton next, only in charge of 3 games of that disastrous season. We lost our first 2 as relegation was confirmed for the second time in 3 years. But interestingly, we finished the season beating Shrewsbury Town, who were in the top 3 the whole season. And, he stepped in because Dan McKeachie would decided that's not the right man.
Yeah.
So he had to step in for the last 3 games of the season. But then it's interesting. It's like, where's that performance been?
Yeah.
Against Shrewsbury Town. Play like that, you stay up.
Yeah. But it's sometimes when the pressure is off, players perform. And there's some players that, unfortunately, aren't able to step up to the mark when the pressure's on. That's not a slant on the individual players. Every team probably has 1 or 2 like that. Unfortunately, I think the mentality side of our team at that time was that there were nowhere near enough people willing or able to step up when under pressure. And it's just the makeup of the team was probably wrong. But I mean, you can't. Unfortunately, it's a bit like, I don't know, just one game at the end of the season where you play well, you're getting some clues there as to where some of your problems may well be.
Yeah, but maybe so.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to a successful manager. Appalled in League Two. Of course he's going to be successful. So I've already hit appointment, yes, sack and yes. So he arrived from Exeter City. I've said that he's won 31, drew 13, lost 29. And like I said, second pool to lead us back to League One. And it was a memorable final day. And you know what? It was nice to see smiles back on fans' faces, after 3 tough seasons.
Yeah.
But after a respectable start, eight losses and 1 draw in 9 games. Unfortunately, enough had to be enough. But he's leaving with his head up high.
Yeah, he done what he was asked to do at the end of the day. I didn't particularly enjoy the style of play he adopted. But it achieved what it had to achieve, and for that you've got to be grateful, because that
100%.
is, a horrid league. It is a horrid league.
We know all too well.
Yeah. So yeah, well done to him. I think the run up to that last game of the season, it did feel like we were doing our damnedest to take defeat from the joys of victory. We certainly felt like we were trying to do it, but we got there in the end. And, like I said earlier, pressure affects people in different ways. And maybe with that team, the pressure started right on that finish line to count. It should have been done and dusted before that final game against Mansfield, but sadly it wasn't. As Bromley found last season, it's great. You can do it all right up until you see the finishing line, and then something happens. The psychology of it all changes. So they nearly blew it. So yeah, no, he's done well. Yeah, happy with getting out of the league. Didn't really enjoy the performances, to be honest.
You know what? I'll take wins over performances any day of the week. We've won. That's all I care about. Now, an interesting one.
Right.
Russell Martin.
Right.
Appointment, yes. Sacking, not applicable. Won 30, drew 19, lost 31. Recruited internally. We hired an existing player as manager.
Yeah.
And to be fair to Russell, credit where it's due, he steered the ship back in the right direction.
Yeah.
He ensured our survival before COVID. And it was a good, successful following season. I mean, we finished 13th, could have finished in the top 10, really. But Swansea City AFC came calling.
Yeah.
And it seemed just too good to turn down.
Yeah, people say about, the snake and all of that, but at the time before that Bournemouth game, he can only go by what he's told to say at that point. And generally, the general view is deny it until it's a done deal. And it's the same with when you're buying players. So I don't hold any feeling towards the guy at all. He got an opportunity to move up, and why not? Football careers are short enough just as a player. So if you can extend that as a manager and then progress to be successful, you need to take your chance. He done okay. I mean, his style of football at the back at times was a little bit. I wouldn't want to watch that again, because that's just not good for my heart. Because I'm more of an old-fashioned. You clear your defensive lines. Bit like with England. Why do the minute you score, do you then try and defend against a team with 6 or 7 potent attackers? You just wouldn't do it, would you? Just would not do it. So
I wish we hadn't scored that goal. Yeah.
yeah. It was. Yeah, just unfortunate that how he came about, that he left it happened that way. But as you said, he got us back in the right direction. He got us believing in ourselves as a team again. And I think they've still got the highest amount of passes leading to a goal. It was 37 or something, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, he done something amazing. He done a really good job turning, a sinking ship around. But, yeah, I've no will against the guy at all. None at all.
That's fair. Well, I've got Dean Lewington here then, so he just there's only one game, but I thought I'd put him in.
Yeah.
3-3 draw against Bolton Wanderers. If only we'd kept on that lead. That's all I can say, really.
Yeah.
We'll be coming back to Dean Lewington, but I think let's move on to Liam Manning.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll put this as a question mark. Appointment, yes. Sacking, yes. So 140, drew 15, lost 28. Came agonisingly close to leading Dons back up to the Championship, but
Yeah.
it ended in heartbreak for the point behind Paul Warren's Rotherham United. Thanks, Paul. Achieves a third highest ever points tally, but more player of heartbreak. I mean, that Wycombe Wanderers game was so tough to watch.
Yeah.
They really wanted it as well, but then with key players leaving in that summer, it just became too much. And after being linked with almost, I mean, how many second tier clubs? How many championship clubs?
Yeah.
Rejecting QPR? A tough decision had to be made. What do you think?
Right. Appointment, yeah. Sacking, I would say no.
You think he would have
Again,
kept us up?
I think he should have stayed. I mean, as you just said about the amount of players that went out during that summer, that wasn't Liam Manning's choice. That was a club choice. As we said before, we know, unfortunately, as a club, we're in a situation where we get good players and we end up having to sell them to balance the books. Because, yeah, Peter hasn't got bottomless pit of money, or didn't at that time, and still doesn't. So I would have liked him to have stayed on. I don't like this constant revolving door of managers, revolving door of players. So for me, it was a bad decision. Another knee-jerk reaction for me, and it's not the only knee-jerk reaction appointment in the list that's coming up. So yeah, I would have kept him. I thought he was very good. He had some wonderful players there, players that were playing for him. So yeah, I like the guy.
Same, really. I mean, that I honestly think he would have kept us up over the Carl Robinson squad. So I actually think if I could, I would have swapped off promotion under Carl for him getting promoted instead. Look at Sunderland, that could have been us. Anyway, go back to Dean Lewington. So he won and lost one game. He's always been able to step up to the plate. So we won at Fratton Park, beat Portsmouth that season, his first game in charge. Yeah, we ended their unbeaten home record, but then we exited the EFL Trophy. The next game, not really too fussed about that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a true captain. He always helped out wherever he could. Would he have kept us up? Who knows?
Yeah.
And
I think massive thanks to his dad as well, Ray, who stepped in with him each time. And obviously, Ray's got a ridiculous amount of experience across the board. And I think that helped Dean as well. And he was willing to help the club by doing that. And I think a lot of gratitude needs to go to Ray Lewington for that. Yeah, fantastic guy for being willing to step in like he did and help. But yeah, as you say, Dean is a true captain. His main focus is always what is best for the club. And yeah, that does upset people at times with his views, but so be it. Better to have that than someone that just turns up every week, takes his money, and then off he goes. So well done, Dean. Well pleased with him. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just going to move on briefly. I mean, Dean had to have surgery, so Bradley Johnson took charge of our club exit against Leicester City, but I think it was really nice of him to step up, really. I've just thought I'd pay tribute to that.
Yeah, to be honest, I did forget about this. Yeah, so again, like you say, Bradley Johnson, and again, a guy that stepped in there to try and just deal with the issues that we had and try and keep some continuity. So yeah, well done him. It's never an easy thing to do. You're on a loser, whatever you do, in my opinion, when you do that. So he done really well. I'm grateful to him for doing that.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, this for me was a worst ever sacking.
Yeah.
Mark Jackson. Appointment, yes. Sacking, no. I'm not going to hold back here on what I think about this. 1-6, drew 9, lost 10. Now, after a slow start, this guy helped the team to improve performances. Now, obviously, for those who watched the game against Burton Albion, it was painful seeing our now number one have the game of his life against us. But I just feel like because he only lost 2 of his final 11 games, he'd improved us. He would have absolutely kept us up in League One, and I absolutely believe he would have got us back up to League One in the first attempt. I know that seems to always go to a manager called Paul, but I genuinely believe he gets us up that 2023-2024 season without a single bit of doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. I think it was I wasn't sure about the appointment to start with, but again, he seemed to be doing things differently. He certainly got the club on the players on board, which wasn't the case previously, and things were looking to be showing signs of improvement. I don't quite like you. I don't understand why he was. Yeah, okay. I'll go. I'll be finished in a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. What was I saying? Sorry, I got interrupted there. Yeah,
just talking about he got the players on board.
Yeah, he's good. He was a good manager. I liked the guy, and that's not the basis of being a good manager, of course, whether you like a guy or not. But another knee-jerk reaction at the end.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and it was. Yeah, it's not how I would want things done, but it's where we were at that time and where we still are, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was drawing some good teams as well, like Derby, for example, Portsmouth, Barnsley. I mean, that was the most painful draw I'd ever watched. But
Yeah,
even though we were 4-1 up, but yeah, I just think. Look, it's a knee-jerk reaction because look who comes next, Graham Alexander.
Yeah,
It was probably one of the most unlucky managers as well, because he won 6, drew 4, and lost 6. He won Manager of the Month in his first month, but then it was just a lost draw sequence, wasn't it? And then the agonising draw against Barrow.
Little guy up. I'll have him in here. Right. Sorry. Yeah.
Just couldn't work out, and then could it?
Yeah, it was just a shame. It was. I didn't like his style of play. I never understood teams' desire. And I know it's a psychological thing with players and with people, and I'm as guilty of it when I used to play at my little level as anyone else. If I was playing badly, I would go back to basics. If I was, we had a lead, we'd try and defend it rather than attack the game. And so, but I just felt the way he set up was designed. Well, it certainly wasn't designed to win. He's done brilliantly at Bradford, so shows how much I know. But no, I couldn't have watched that much longer. It was too stifling for me.
Yeah. Got hostile at the end as well, didn't it? With the Harrogate Town game. I remember watching being at that game, and it was the most uncomfortable I've ever felt at a football game. But yeah, just he couldn't seem to buy a victory in the end. The poor guy, could I?
No.
And then that brings us to
my God,
Mike Williamson.
Yeah. Again, a really lovely guy.
Ince.
Yeah.
Won 22, drew 5, lost 18.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing is, I'm gonna stick my neck on the line here. I think he gets us up if he had the whole season, because we were so close to the top 3. He helped steer the ship, but it ultimately proved a bit too much to get automatically promoted. And then, obviously, there was the playoffs. I'd already wanted the refund at a game before as I did that day. But you know what? Again, an overhaul of the squad. And we couldn't replace Max Dean.
No.
And I don't understand why we overhauled the squad. He told me as well. I met him the day before the season started, the following season. I met him outside the local Tesco. He's like, exciting times ahead. It was the day of the takeover.
Yeah.
We were having to wait for those exciting times, but we got them with Paul Vaughan.
Yeah. Again, I think another manager that was dealt with shorthand by what was going on behind the scenes in terms of the need to, or the desire to keep sending players off. I again, I think he was a knee-jerk reaction again. A case of looking
good
for who's
one, I
been the
think.
most successful in a particular area, which was the Northern League at that. Is it not
National
North, what do we
League.
call it? National League, we
National
call it.
League,
Yeah,
yeah. But I think it
yeah,
was a good appointment, to be fair.
yeah. Um, but did he have the experience and the real knowledge to be able to take it from? Because what often happens is managers will get a group of players that they're able to work with and they're able to get the best out of. And then the next group of players they struggle with because of the dynamics between the relationships of the managers and players. And I'm just not sure that Mike had that depth of experience to warrant being appointed. I just felt it was a knee-jerk reaction. Really lovely guy. Yeah, enjoyed the football under him most of the time. It was better than we were getting previously. But yeah, I think again another one knee-jerk appointment. It's done okay. Knee-jerk sacking, and I just
Well,
don't.
it wasn't a sacking. He went to Carlisle United.
Yeah, but why did he go to Carlisle United?
They approached him. He chose
Yeah,
to go.
something else was going on there. By that point, you already knew he was leaving. I think. I
Possibly.
think that again there was a lack of support there for him. So I'll probably get lambasted for that, but so that's how I feel. I don't feel the guy had the right amount of support. Now it may well be due to the finances of the club. We had to do things a particular way, yeah. But for me, no, I didn't particularly like the way that ended either. But there you go.
Right, well, we go to Dean Lewington.
Yeah,
Just one game. I remember that game against Doncaster Rovers. We conceded late on after taking the lead, but to be honest, it was one of those where actually you're glad you didn't lose as well.
yeah,
I mean, they did win the league in the end. But yeah, I mean, I think to be fair, it just shows his captain needed legends, as we've discussed. A lot, he just
yeah.
always did what was best for the club. I really appreciate him doing that. I won't talk too much about him. Let's go to Scott Lindsay.
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, knee jerk for me.
I mean, it's funny, isn't it? We won 9, drew 6, lost 14, but then we won 6 in a row, and it was like, finally, we're going to go somewhere this season.
Yeah.
And then lost to Gillingham, and it was back to normal, wasn't it? It was the write-off of that season.
Yeah.
And he ended up back at Crawley Town. It didn't work out for anybody.
No. Just for me, I couldn't understand the logic of, as I said, there were things going on at the Dons. Things didn't look right. Certainly from that, the second game more noticeably for me. The second leg that we played against them, things just didn't look or feel right. Something had already happened by then.
You could see all the goals going.
I was expecting to hear that he'd left. To be honest, because of the way the body language of everything was just wrong. And then we're appointing a guy, Scott Lindsay, who's quite frankly is hit a perfect storm. And is praised on 2 games that he's played in the season and then becomes the master tactician. Well, no, life doesn't work like that. No, I just no time for it at all. I just felt it was totally wrong. And while we're pointing the guy that is just beating us by that ridiculous scoreline, that was as much to our own failings as to his so-called tactical master plan. There wasn't one, as far as I'm concerned. I think
it's a shame.
Yeah.
Performances weren't too great either. I mean, it's a shame because that you win the second game 5-1. You think we can go somewhere, but it just didn't fully work. I mean,
no.
What am I going to Maxwell's word? Yeah, it just wasn't to be. And then we go to Ben Gladwin.
Yeah,
I mean, he had to take a charge, and then I remember changes
yeah,
coming in. That's why I said partially yes as well. But it was
yeah,
just more of the same, really, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah.
And good luck to Ben, but it just wasn't
Yeah.
wasn't to be.
No, no, not the right thing for him personally, but obviously felt obliged to do it to try and assist, which is, commendable.
Very commendable, yeah. But now we go to our current
Yeah,
manager, Paul Vaughan.
yeah,
And after the appointment, yes, well, it's a Paul in League Two. Of course, he's going to get us up. That's what
yeah,
we do. We finish first, second, and third on the pool. So Paul is our
yeah,
lucky League Two charm. He's won
yeah,
27, drew 17, only lost 9.
yeah,
But it's only a point behind champion Bromley, to be fair, and he's never finished. We were the top scorers.
yeah,
And actually, to be fair, even though we didn't win the league title when we were hoping to, I think after our start in January, I'd have taken that all day long. I
yeah,
remember, he's not finished lower than 7th in 5 League One campaigns. Since becoming a manager, no other manager has been promoted to the Championship more times than him. Are we on the up? Every time he's had
yeah,
a full season in League One, he's got promoted, 3 with Rotherham United,
yeah.
1 with Derby County.
Yeah. I mean, I would cheekily ask Paul how many times he got relegated, but who knows? But
Well, I
yeah,
can answer that. He's
yeah,
been
go on then.
relegated. He's been relegated twice no, 3 times from the Championship. He got relegated in 2017, 2019, 2021 with Rotherham United.
Yeah, that's it.
But
Yeah,
but he knows how to get up. He goes how to get up to the
yeah,
Championship. So
yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah, joking apart, I think the guy's done really well. I didn't even on that last game of the season, and I hate to say it, I didn't care. I was not in the least bit interested whether we were champions, second or third. I only wanted to be promoted. That's all I really
Yeah,
honestly cared about.
that's
Lovely
what we
for the
cared about most
players.
of the
For
season.
yeah, mostly for the fans and for the players. Lovely to get the trophy if you could, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't part of the plan. The plan was to get promoted, and anything else on top of that, just the icing on the cake. And I'm just glad he got us up. And I think a lot of the players that he's got will be a lot better suited to League One than they ever
A lot of
were
people
to League
say
Two.
that.
Yeah,
A lot of people say that. I mean, I
yeah,
will be reviewing Don's league season either this week or next week. But yeah, it's just funny, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
he's not messed about, to be fair. He's done Cardiff's player of the season, trying to a player in the League One team of the season, and Charlie Goods.
yeah.
He, you know
And if
he knows what he wants.
yeah, and for the players, to be fair to the players, um, if you've not never played at League Two level and you go down to that, I would imagine it would take more than a few months to adjust to that style of physical and just style of play of the whole thing. It would take several months to get used to that, to be able to adapt, and then for your ability to shine through. And maybe that's what the thing was with Liam Kelly. Maybe it was just taking him a lot longer to adapt to it and
In
find
a new
ways to
position,
get
though.
around the people that were trying to bite his ankles and things like that. So, yeah, yeah, like you say, yeah, slightly different position for him, but yeah, it takes a while. It takes a while to get used to that league, I think. So well done to him.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, fair play to him. Yeah, I'm really pleased. I mean, Liam Kelly's a 6 has been fantastic. Right, well, I do need to get ready for work soon. I've got time, to be fair, but I just want to
Yeah,
say thanks so much, David, for joining.
yeah,
Thanks to everyone who's reading and watching this as well. It is incredibly appreciated. Let's have another great season. Paul Warren, like we say, he's always he got promoted to the Championship and all but one of this 5 seasons in League One. Last time I'll get superstitious. Last time we began a League One season without our previous season's kit sponsor, we got promoted to the Championship with Richie Barker as our assistant manager. So let's hope the signs are there. Especially
yeah,
as last time Barnsley appointed Daniel Stendel as their manager for a League One campaign. It was also a World Cup campaign, which England reached the semi-finals in, beat Panama, played Croatia, and the team who finished second in the previous season, League Two, did win League One. So again, other signs
Yeah,
there. Have I jinxed it?
yeah, that's it,
But yeah,
yeah.
seriously, guys, thanks so much for watching. As always, let us know your thoughts. Was I right with what I said about the managers? Were there any you'd have kept for longer? Was there anyone else you'd have liked to have seen sacked sooner? What are your thoughts, really? Let us know. Let us know. But yeah, I think that wraps it up. And if you have
Okay.
enjoyed what you've seen, please make sure to subscribe, comment your views, and share the video. It really does help. I can't believe we've got over 50 subscribers already, to be fair, and I'm really looking forward to the next season, even though I think in my brain I'm still recovering from the stresses and the excitement of the previous season. Up the dawn, and thank you so much for watching.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.